Hello and welcome back to another episode of Volume 1 Chapter Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Chainsaw Man Chapter 104, and at the end of this episode we're going to be going back and talking about 103 because we didn't get a chance to talk about 103 because we were...
Someone got sick.
Well, I did get sick. I did get sick, and we were moving some stuff around and reconfiguring our structure.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to go back and save some time at the end of this episode to briefly kind of talk about the events of 103, just so we cover it, just so we talk about it, so it's there. But mostly, we're going to be talking about Chapter 104, the newest chapter of Chainsaw Man Part 2. And oh my God, first of all, these past two chapters have been some of the most fun. I mean, Chainsaw Man Part 2 has been great since the very beginning, since Chapter 1, focusing on Asa and getting to know the relationship that she has with the War Devil. I mean, Bucky. I mean, everything so far has been great. But these are the first two chapters that we actually get to see Denji. Not Chainsaw Man, but Denji. And we get to spend time with him, and we get to see kind of where he's at, how he's been, how he's grown.
Yeah, that's what I love the most about these chapters. It's like, Fujimoto like has such an ability to make things so like, out there, crazy, the most insane concept of devils and a headless chicken, like all these crazy things. But like he has this ability to make like the realism so real, because if this was a high school kid, it's like a Peter Parker if he had like the symbiote venom, but wanted people to know who he was and didn't get the responsibility part and was just like, fuck it, I want hot chicks. Like it's so funny because he's so just, I mean, the way he grew up, of course, mentally, he'd be a little younger than everyone else. He still doesn't know how to read.
Yeah.
So just seeing these things from him is just like, yep, there he is.
It's
and it's
so
like even worse.
Funny, yeah.
I feel like when he's not in the mix of like all the devil hunters and being with like actual adults, once that's gone, he's like regressed so much further back.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that.
Seems such like a little slime ball, more so than he ever did.
Yeah, everybody was like, man, I can't wait to see how much Denji's grown. And Fujimoto was like, nah. But you're like, you saying the Peter Parker thing, it is so funny because it's like Peter Parker never got that speech about with great power comes great responsibility.
Or he did, but just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. He's like, I want that clout, baby.
Yeah, of course.
I want bad bitches.
Yeah, like dial him up. Like he knows, and I just got totally that vibe from him in these chapters.
It is funny because even me, I was like, and that's what's kind of funny about talking about these chapters week to week. But it's like, Part 2's coming out. We haven't seen Denji after so long. He was kind of missing in the first couple chapters, which I loved, focusing more on Asa, giving her a chance to shine as a character. And, just contemplating, what Denji has been through and how the Makima situation, really affected him. And it was like, okay, well, he is still the most Denji he's ever been.
Yeah.
And like you said, if not more so.
Yeah, well, at the end of Part 1, like we kind of get that vibe that he is going to be responsible for a young child. So we thought maybe like, in doing that and going to school, maybe he would be more what's the word when you're mature. Mature.
Yeah.
You'd be more mature, but we don't know what that has to do with anything right now.
Yeah, that still hasn't been mentioned.
No, not at all. So we don't know if he's still taking care of this kid. He might have just passed him on to someone else and he's just going to school. He's living by himself. We don't know. Like, is he living with Kishibe? Like, we have no idea what the hell is going on with his like home life. So, yeah, it is just hilarious to see him.
But you're talking about realism, too. I mean, yeah, dude, this is what a real high school kid, how they would react if they had this power. Like, this is so real. And every shonen protagonist, I feel like, is so, like, opposite this. Where
they have the most like strong integrity of all. Like
I want to use this power to protect the weak. And he's like, I just want to get a girl, dude. I just want a girlfriend, dude.
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah, his goals have not changed. He wants food, a girlfriend, and clout. And that's it. I mean, that's the 3. I mean, he's good with 3, and that's how he wants to live his life.
It's so funny seeing him just sitting like or offering to be a chair to girls. I mean, like he's also just like he's also
they're like they're like having conversation, and I just imagine him like laughing along with what they're saying. They're not like entertaining him at all, but he's just like, ha ha ha, like, like laughing at the conversation.
But it's because, I mean, like, look at this man's life. Like, this man's life has just been, he hasn't been around kids his age.
No, not at all.
After the events of Chainsaw Man Part 1, like, you know, he was just used for his power. He was manipulated. So he's not like socially, aware. He kind of throws himself in these situations, and he thinks he's like, I don't know what he thinks, dude. I mean, he's thinking with his other devil, if you know what I mean. He's thinking with another devil.
It was easier for him to be integrated into like the devil. What is it? The devil corp. The devil core, all those people, because there were some like wacky characters. Like a power was very similar to him in the sense that like kind of had to rein him down and control what they were doing, and they're like, oh, that's just Denji. But it was easier for him to fit in there versus like at a high school where like he's just like a weird like edgelord, you know?
Yeah, that's what it is.
He feels like such like, oh really? Like you know all about Chainsaw Man? Well, I'm gonna tell you. She's like, ew, you sound like a loser right now. Like you're straight up giving me so loser.
Fun. And see, that's what I fucking love about Fujimoto, man. Like, this is the first time on page we're getting to see Asa and Denji together, and it's been a build up, and the emotions have been everywhere, right? And it's there's been a lot of heart, and there's been a lot of just feeling Asa's despair and her situation, and
Yoru's relationship with the Chainsaw Man Devil,
and Yoru's relationship with with Pochita and the Chainsaw Man Devil, or the Chainsaw Devil. But seeing them like actually together, it's just not undercut, but if you were to use that word, it's in the most beautiful and perfect way. It's in the most beautiful way, because she looks at him and goes, you're a loser. You sound like a loser.
It's so funny because, like, Fujimoto, it's like, oh, like, can you introduce me to any girls that are like, want a boyfriend, like, badly? And then it just cuts to like the three of them together. Like, she's never expressed that to him. He's just like, this is the only girl I know that's kind of weird. They might be together.
Well, it's because she offered to be. Well, I think it wasn't Asa. It was Yoru who offered to be.
Yeah, he was like, she wants a boyfriend. But
she's desperate.
Yeah, she's desperate.
She cornered me in front of the school after the first time I met her.
But it was just funny because right when they cut to that panel, even me, I was like, ooh, everyone's been shipping Asa and Denji since day one, before he was in the manga that much. So everyone was like, oh my god, this is it. They're gonna become boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they're gonna like find out about each other, and then they're like, no, they're gonna hate each other like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about Chainsaw Man.
Well, it's so funny too because it kind of recontextualized everything that happened in, I think it was 102, with the Bat Devil and the Cockroach Devil and all those moments that we got to see. Well, the first moment we got to see Chainsaw Man, it kind of recontextualizes him even saving the cat versus saving the human, because at the time, I just thought of it like, oh yeah, he's choosing to save a cat over a human, but it seems like he saved the cat because Chainsaw Man don't save men. Chainsaw Man doesn't save guys. Like, that's something that Asa says to him. Like,
he's a real Sanji.
He's a Sanji, dude. He's a Sanji for real. Yeah. It is just so funny because she sees that, and if she sees that, so many other people see that too. Like, it's kind of weird that he only saves girls.
Or
it seems kind of
it is like
desperate.
It is like how like people say we hate Sanji. Like everyone sees
Jesus
it, but
Christ.
there's people that refuse to see anything like remotely or anything wrong, or we just don't get it. Like that's what she's saying here. Like, you Chainsaw Man fans will defend any action he does, and you just turn a blind eye to everything else. And he's like, well, no, it's just so funny. Even his like, compared to Yoshida, like it's just so funny to see the difference because, like Denji's not like bad looking, but compared to Yoshida, he just looks like a little like...
Looks like a mess, dude. It looks like a mess.
He's like, well, I know.
Yeah.
So funny funny because you had him on like such a pedestal in part 1 where he's like the man, he's like ripping up everyone, he's saving the day. Of course there's little slides here and there about him wanting to touch boobs and wanting to have a girlfriend, but you really had that emotion with him, and then him to just get introduced like this, like Fujimoto's like painting him to be like a bad guy.
Bro,
like he's painting him to be like annoying.
Because he is kind of, and I love Denji and I love Chainsaw Man.
Same.
But he is kind of a loser, dude. Like he is, but I love that about him. That is so like
he was from the start. Yeah, he was from the start. He just was like he's just a guy that wants one thing, and that's pretty much it. But you're right, and he's like kind of rude too.
With that contemplative chapter that we got in part 1, when all he wanted to do was touch a boob, and then he did, and it was him like kind of reflecting on all of that, like, is this what I really want? Is this what all it is? And now he is just still. I mean, that didn't change him at his core. Like, he still is like.
Well, left to his own devices.
Right.
I mean, if Makima didn't show up in volume 1, his life would have remained the same. Just because he's not the type to like go out of his way to like change his circumstances. Yeah. So if it was like no one touched his life, like he would have just been content doing what he was doing, thinking that this is the best that it gets. Maybe complaining, but like just living his life, his sad little life. So now that like no one's interfering except for now Yoshida, that's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna have to stop you, and you can't do this. He's like, okay, well, no one else is telling me that I can't, so
yeah,
I don't give a shit what you say.
He is kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It is funny to just compare him to other shonen protagonists because he just doesn't give a fuck. And we've seen like other protagonists like Luffy who doesn't give a fuck and loves to eat, but has no interest in like, women or anything like that. So it is funny to see him have like similar qualities to other shonen protagonists, but just be so different and just be so like unapologetically himself, a high school boy, and just have that one track mind that so many other high school boys have. Like, you can't.
Like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And maybe a lot of grown-ass men have, too. Let's be real, okay? But even him saying, like, that's what I love about him, too, when he wasn't being a chair for the girl in his class, and then Yoshida comes out and tells him, like, hey, well, I'll pay you, like, to be a chair for me. And he's like, I don't let dudes sit on me, dude. Like, that's freaking whack, dude. I'm not like that. And he's like, offers him a lot of money, and he's like, all right, fuck it, dude. Just, he'll
do literally anything for money. Like that's always how he's been.
But I love that he has no real like, not only does he not have really any like social, experience, and he's not like socially adept, in any situation, but he also just doesn't have fucking manners, which I love that, dude. And I love that he doesn't care. I love like. So many other people might be like insecure about their lack of like social skills,
or like how they can't read, or
right. But he's like, nah, dude. Like, you guys are the ones that are like weird. I'm just doing me, baby, and like people are gonna love me. And I also love that he doesn't want people. He could easily just go into the middle of a town square and transform into Chainsaw Man, and everybody would know that he is Chainsaw Man. But he doesn't want to do that. Like, he almost wants it to look like an accident. Like, he almost wants it to look like he wants people to find out on their own so that it means more, or so it doesn't seem like he cares. Like, he's calculated like so many other guys his age are, when it's like, well, yeah, I don't want it to seem like I care, or that like I want people to find out that I'm Chainsaw Man. But he is like leaving his school ID, and he is like going and he is like being interviewed on these like news stations. And he's like, Chainsaw Man's sick, dude. Like his number, if I had to guess what his favorite number was, or even his phone number, like I
mean, again, yeah, it's so funny. Like, I mean, it is like that superhero, like Spider-Man like syndrome. It's like, yeah, Spider-Man is so fucking sick, but Peter Parker, not cool, bro. Like, it's so like the separation, like who knows? Like, who knows? Like, obviously people just like him because he's Chainsaw Man. Like, they won't like him because he's Denji, because Denji's a different breed from Chainsaw Man. So even the people in his class that he's like building this reputation of being like a human C, they're gonna be like, that's a human C guy?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean,
yeah.
Like it's just like they like at high school without that identity, like they do not think he's cool. I mean,
because even Peter Parker is like a smart kid. He's got friends, you know, and Denji can't read, and he's just like eating with his hands.
He doesn't have shit. Like I have not seen him interact with anyone his age, like at school at all. Like the first introduction we get, the first interaction we get is just him being a C and not being talked to. Like. It's his just whole thing just being like the only thing that's keeping him going is just like they don't know I'm Chainsaw Man. Like that meme, you know, it's just like he's staying in the middle of the room and like everyone's talking. It's like they don't know I'm Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Like he's like when they find out, it's gonna be lit. And they're like, hey dork, and like hey man, like he's just like pulling on this act because he is like just kind of dumb. So he just is like fine with like this treatment of just like no one giving a shit about his existence because I mean before he joined the devil, you know, hunters, what do they, oh my god, I always forget the fucking name.
I mean
devil
I forget
hunters,
the name too,
devil they took her
yeah, the devil hunting, but that, I mean that's going back to 103 a little bit when everybody was kind of, you know, giving their opinion and thoughts about Chainsaw Man. But I also love that Fujimoto does that, and it almost feels like it is a mix between like characters in that world giving their opinion on Chainsaw Man, but it also feels like, you know, it's talking about so many people in our world and their opinions on Chainsaw Man, right? Like you have the fanboys, the people wearing the shirts, you know, or people saying like there was a guy in the crowd who said something to the effect of like, I just think Chainsaw Man's too gory, like definitely not for kids or whatever. Like, you know, it does feel like, these are characters in this world talking about Chainsaw Man, but it's also like Fujimoto talking about how our world has sort of received Chainsaw Man.
That's one of the things Fujimoto does so well is just like meta, like completely like an utterly meta stuff. Like we see it in Fire Punch and we see it here again. It's just like, that's exactly what he's talking about. Yeah. He's talking about this exact thing and he's talking to you through the pages.
Yeah, and you really feel that. But I also loved that there was some lore here. There was some real lore and more information about Yoru, or the War Devil's relationship with Pochita, with Chainsaw Man. Like, and
I'm obsessed with like mighty beings, like either being trapped in like a human body or just like regressing to human behavior a little bit. Like her like punching the pillow, like she's so powerful. She could like just like slice this whole building in half, and she's just like, I'm so frustrated. And she's like, can you like chill? I'm trying to go to sleep. So funny, just so cute, like of a reaction. Like,
well, you want to talk about cute? I mean, I thought it was really cute when Yoshida ended up almost having this sort of like, it almost felt like it could have gone down this rom-com road where Yoshida was just gonna like be a wingman for Denji, and like, is that all you want, man? Is that all you want? Girls? Like, I can help you get girls. And it's just going to be the next couple chapters of Yoshida, like, you know, introducing Denji to girls or like coaching him. You know, that trope where it's like, you know, someone's in an earpiece.
And
they're like coaching him and like, all right, compliment her dress. And then Denji would just food all over his mouth. It's just like, yeah, your dress looks pretty cool, I guess, like whatever, you know. And I just imagined that it was going to be this like, or it could have gone down this road where it was like, Yoshida coaching Denji on like how to be a gentleman and how to get ladies. And
I mean, it's just he just has no subtlety. I mean, he just says whatever is on his mind, and whatever is on his mind is like the thing you shouldn't say. So I mean, that's why it was so crazy with Rize, right? Because Rize seemed to be like really into him off the bat. Yeah. So that's why we're like, whoa, a girl that actually likes Denji.
For who he
is. No, she was hired.
Yeah, she was.
I don't know who's gonna. I don't know. I mean, hopefully, but he just has to tone it down a little bit and just let it happen. He just comes off so like ready to jump, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Unless he meets a girl that's exactly like that.
Yeah, which, I mean, Asa definitely is not. You know? But I still think there might be, you know, shenanigans will ensue, and there will be a situation where I think they will, you know, who knows? I know a lot of people are shipping them.
Hopefully be friends at least. I hope Denji gets friends.
And maybe that's the lesson that he needs to learn in this part.
Yeah.
He needs to learn about friendship and that it's okay to just like have a girl be a friend.
Well, power, he learned that for sure.
Even with power, I mean, you know, there was a moment with him in Power too in the bathroom. You know, initially, right?
With the fake boobs.
Right. Yeah. Like And I think after that was when his view and his relationship with her kind of changed. But at first, I think his gut reaction was like, oh, and she wasn't, she's a fiend. She's not.
I mean, she was like so similar to him. So he was like, nah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But seeing him interact with like a human girl, which Asa
Himeno.
is an exception to that as well. But yeah, and Himeno and like
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, dude. Denji's just been like, I mean, he has just got the shit into the stick so many times. I mean, he has been taken advantage of because of his like, people go after him for his power for sure, but he's also so naive and people take advantage of his naivety and his like his just like ignorance to a lot of things. And it's kind of really sad, but also just like seeing him deal with it and how he deals with it is kind of funny at the same time. But yeah, the lore we got was the reveal, I guess, or not that it was a huge reveal, but we get more information about the War Devil and her power because of what Chainsaw Man did. And Chainsaw Man ate a part of her body. And there's a lot of interesting dialogue between Asa and Yoru about sort of that incident. And, she speaks of Chainsaw Man as being this person, this being that just keeps getting back up no matter what. And I saw online sort of either a theory or an explanation for this. Well, number one, what you have to remember right out of the jump, or right out of the gate, I guess, is that, Kishibe talked a lot about not remembering, like Kishibe had no knowledge of like Nazis, and I've seen people talk about it, and I'm trying to like figure out like what makes sense and what I believe to be the case, because a lot of people are talking about, she talks about her power being weakened because there hasn't really been a war in a long time.
Yeah, since like a world war.
Yeah. And people really, I guess, aren't as afraid of war because, again, Chainsaw Man ate the, nuclear weapons devil, ate the, I guess, Nazi devil. I think even the AIDS devil. So these things, and this is the conversation that I've seen online. There's a group of people saying that these things just don't exist, right? These things, Nazis, AIDS, nuclear weapons, like don't exist. But there are other people saying that they don't. It's not that they don't exist, but
they don't exist anymore.
But and it's that people's memories of them are completely gone. But that can still mean that their fear of these things might still exist, even though they don't know why or where these fears come from. For me, it does feel like if they don't exist, then your fear of them wouldn't exist either. So it is interesting because we know the cycle of devils, right? That, they'll sort of die, they'll go to hell, then they'll come back, and then it just kind of, continues cyclically like that. But what's interesting is on top of when they do come back, their forms being different, and they're like we saw with the Bat Devil, and their memories being different, and even like Power talked about with like her memory, she wouldn't be the same Power if she came back. It almost sounds like Pochita, the Chainsaw Devil, Chainsaw Man. Like Pochita is like exists outside of that, like almost like Pochita, no matter what, like still has his memories of everything and is still who he is. I mean, he's got this crazy ability and power to consume devils and erase them from existence. Erase them from existence or erase them from people's memory. But he's also got this like ability, it seems like, to retain like who he is every time he comes around. And it does seem like the other horsemen of the apocalypse have that as well.
Yeah.
But I think lesser devils and fiends don't have that ability. So it is just interesting to see, and that's what I mean about remembering, because it was something that I had to remember, that this is an alternate. The Chainsaw Man universe is obviously a fictional universe, but it is a altered history too. There are events in this universe historically that are
changed.
Well, that have changed,
altered,
that have been altered, and so we are living in this universe. Maybe it started similarly to our history and our world, but with the appearance of like devils, it has like caused it to shift. But it is an like Nazis at one point did exist, but then were forgotten. So it is an alternate sort of like version of history. And so that is why these weakened, that is why, those events have weakened the War Devil. So the War Devil is like really, really, really struggling for sure.
Yeah.
But I like when we get more about Pochita. I like when we learn more about the past, with their past, the War Devil's past with Pochita, because we still don't really know everything and how everything works exactly. We can kind of assume and we can kind of piece things together, but we haven't really gotten it flat out like
said,
explanation or reason for this. On top of the organization that Yoshida works for, we don't really know anything about this organization. I don't. When he first got hired, it was from this like assassin, like bodyguard,
it was like separate
group,
like freelance from this other other company.
And
so I wonder who's in charge of that,
right?
Who sent him on that mission,
right? And we don't know. Yoshida says that they're not evil like in a manga, but who knows? I mean, they could be morally gray. He could just be saying that, but it does seem like, at least right now, that he does have Denji's best intentions at heart, but I don't know if we can believe that. I mean, I feel like right now we can believe that they're not evil, but I don't know. I mean, that could definitely change. But at least right now, they don't seem to be evil. They're just, Yoshida's just been tasked with keeping track of Denji's well-being and making sure he's okay and that he doesn't reveal himself, which just goes, directly against what Denji's primary goal at this point in his life is, which is to reveal to the world that he is Chainsaw Man, but for it to happen, quote unquote, organically. So it's just like, it just allows for so many like funny moments, so many real moments, real dialogue. I love these two chapters.
I mean, I always forget her name. She's so cute. Glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said she's out on an injury, and I was like,
well, yeah, I mean, she got injured from the bat double.
Oh, yeah, duh. I always forget about that little incident.
Yeah.
She got wrecked.
Super wrecked.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So
ooh, I miss her though.
I miss her too. I love all of these new characters that have been introduced, and I think that's the challenge coming into part 2, and I think what a lot of people might have been like worried about. And so many people are talking about, oh, when's this character going to come in, or when's that character going to come in, or when are we going to get to see this person or that person? But it's like the characters that we're getting, first of all, a lot of them died in part 1. There are still a lot of them alive, and who knows what they're up to, but I love every single character that we've been given. Like we've been given more time with Yoshida, the introduction of Asa. I forget the girl with the glasses. I forget her name too, but I love her and her relationship with Asa.
Yuko or something.
I can look it up. Give me a second, but go ahead, go off.
Yeah, all of them really. I mean, I would love to see Kobeni again just because I love her so much.
Oh yeah.
That would be just, even if it's just a little cameo. Honestly, that would be lit. But again, like with Denji, like not really, I mean, I'm sure he would have come in a series at some point, but not really like getting my hopes up because I know this is like part 2 of, obviously he had to be involved because it is Chainsaw Man, but these other characters that were in like the first part, like I wouldn't put money on they're going to be in the next part.
Yuko.
Yeah, because they're introducing new characters. These new characters have a relationship with other new characters, so I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a lot of the characters from part 1, just because it's like that was a chapter of Denji's life. This is a new chapter of Denji's life. But yeah.
Yeah, I just think that these 2 chapters were so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. I loved, and I think it worked so well because we didn't get to see Denji for so long. We got to see Chainsaw Man, and then we got 2 chapters full of Denji. And I think that it made me more excited to see him when he came back and to see how he's kind of, been dealing with all of these things. I love the comparison between like him and Chainsaw Man and Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like just how they're so different, but it would be it is like, it's kind like of a similar situation, but they're different people.
Yeah, it's like Peter Parker was like kind of like Venom and had to hide that.
What do you mean, kind of like Venom?
With the symbiote thing, like Pochita and
Well, I mean, even just his identity as a Spider-Man,
I guess, yeah. But Yeah, it's a double-edged connotation.
Right. And the symbiotic relationship being that
I mean, Pochito, they're not really connected.
Right, I think Asa for sure has that sort of symbiotic relationship more so
like
because
Spider-Man, Venom, it's like
the way. But I just think it's funny to compare them like that because it just makes it even. It makes their differences. I don't know. Makes it more. I don't know how to say it exactly. Why I love that comparison so much, but it makes me realize who Denji is even more because it is such a stark contrast between, I guess, what we would expect and have seen in so many other stories with young protagonist heroes who have these secret abilities and everybody's concerned about protecting their loved ones and family, but we've never.
I mean, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that, so he doesn't give a shit. Like,
exactly.
If you didn't have that and there was no really like real. Oh, the only thing is a positive of you getting chicks. Like, yeah, why would you not? Why would you not do it? Like, no one else is gonna be hurt. Like, of course, all my friends are fucking dead. Like, yeah, bye. Yeah. I don't care.
It just makes their differences when you compare the two. It makes their differences so much more apparent, and it just makes me feel like I can understand and appreciate Denji for who he is so much more. Because he does feel like such a real representation of a kid his age in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with no loved ones to protect.
Or tell him, like, what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a kid his same age telling him, don't do that. And he's like, okay, I don't fucking care what you think.
And even his conversation, because that's another thing everybody was wanting to see Asa and him together, and that conversation felt so real, too. And I don't know, the conversation that's going to happen between Asa and Yoru after this conversation. Maybe Asa thinks Denji is a loser and a Chainsaw Man
Yoru's like,
fan.
It was him.
And maybe Yoru's going to be like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't discredit that. Maybe we should look into that. I don't know. I kind of maybe doubt that, but maybe, I don't know, maybe that'll just mean that Yoru will keep an eye on Denji just in case. But the way that conversation ends is with her walking away like, yeah, you're a fucking loser and I don't believe you. And even Yoshida says, like, nobody's going to believe you, dude. If you keep talking like that and if you keep acting like that, dude, nobody's going to believe you. It's like me, like I'm trying to think of like who is like someone that is like super famous but hides their identity, right? Like
Deadmau5?
Well, I think of like the people I think of like Deadmau5, like Banksy, like Daft Punk. Remember when they just like, I think they've revealed their identities.
Revealed it. Probably Banksy. I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, like I walk around and I'm like, I'm talking to somebody who hates Banksy and I'm like, I'll just say it, dude. I am Banksy. People are gonna be like, okay, you're fucking not though. You're not though. You have a I love Banksy shirt on, and that's the thing too. He had a Chainsaw Man shirt on. Like, or
you just seem like a super fan.
There's so many mangaka who hide their identity too, right? And so to be like, yeah, I am the mangaka for My Hero Academia. Actually, yeah, it is me. Yeah. It's me. The gas mask. I just had one laying around one day and decided that I wanted to live my life, out of the limelight. But I've decided now that I want everybody to know I am the mangaka of My Hero Academia. And Banksy, and I am also Banksy. I'm both.
I could be both.
Actually. It is just what Fujimoto does best. He takes these moments that everybody, builds up in their head, and even us as like reviewers or people who react to these chapters as they come out, we try to look at as many angles as we can. But ultimately, Fujimoto always just takes us down a completely different path.
Lays it out, which I love. I mean, I love that I can't predict what's going to happen next. I love how it's just each chapter was so like, I mean, I'm sure things will get tied up at some point, but it's just so different. Each chapter is so different in what it's going to, like what it's telling, and I can't guess what's going to happen. So that's what's so much fun about reading it.
That is what's so much fun about reading it, is it's completely unpredictable. And again, these moments are always kind of undercut, but in the most beautiful way. Because again, it does kind of make me look at myself sometimes and go like, It doesn't have to be that deep, or it might not be that complex. It could just be this simple.
Yeah.
And I love that Fujimoto and all of his work kind of constantly reminds me of that. But in terms of like just, humoring the possibilities of what can happen, I do think that, there will come a time where, something is going to happen, and, Asa and Denji are going to either, I don't know. I still have this belief that it will and can possibly still become a romantic relationship at some point. I'm not rooting for it or shipping it. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I feel like ships, Fujimoto's like,
yeah,
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about it.
I don't give a ship.
Because, everyone was like, I mean, he like really portrayed like it to kind of happen between Power and Denji, and even people kind of like seeing when she was so scared, like them being together as like romantic. I felt that line that he drew in the sand where it's like, this is not romantic. This is just almost like a child, like, I don't want to go to the bathroom alone. Yeah. Can you come with me? Not sexual at all. And I don't think that he would like feed into that, because it is Fujimoto. Like he wouldn't give everyone what they want that easily, you know? So yeah.
Yeah,
I just have my opinion.
I don't know going forward, like, what's going to happen. I don't know.
Maybe Yoshida and Asa.
I mean, that was already kind of proposed, and then
Yoshida
it was
like a joke.
Nah. Yeah, as a joke. But
he didn't even know her. He's gonna be like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's the difference with him and Denji. Denji would be like, yes.
Denji would be like, yeah, please.
We talked about that.
Please.
We're like, yeah, he would definitely just say yes completely. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, we did get more lore. We did get more information. Again, the War Devil significantly weakened now because, and I had to again remember, that is because it's an alternate version of history where things like nuclear weapons, even AIDS, I believe, and Nazis and other things just either were erased from people's memory, existence, whether there's some fear lingering inside of people still from these things, and they're not quite able to pin, where that fear comes from or why that fear exists is unknown. I do think that war still exists, but maybe, the severity of war is just significantly decreased because of these things being erased. So I don't know. I do think that we got more information, but I love the way that even these things are revealed, because we're getting let in more to the War Devil and their weakened state and why they are the way they are, but we don't get everything answered, and there's even more questions that I have, and I there's so many other moments. Like, these chapters are just full of moments. Even the moment back and forth between Asa and Denji when they were talking about, I heard Chainsaw Man, eats humans or whatever. And he's like, no, I mean, well, that was only one time, I mean, it's just like, I just, there's so many, this is where like Fujimoto shines, man, like in these like exchanges of dialogue and in character and in like creating these real moments between people. And like it's just chock full of so many beautiful moments. We get a little bit of lore. We still have so many questions. These were the most fun, amazing 2 chapters in part 2 so far. I mean, they've all been so fucking great though. And these are, again, our first reactions, our opinions, our initial thoughts sort of on all this stuff. Like, what we love about these videos and these discussions is that we can continue this discussion in the comments down below, and everybody else kind of adds their 2 cents. It makes us think more about certain moments, certain things. But these are just like initial gut reaction, response, and feelings about everything. So yeah, we were kind of all over the place, and we kind of briefly touched on moments from chapter 103 kind of throughout this conversation. So it would kind of seem, I don't know, redundant to go to go back now and like go through every single thing that happened. But 2 great chapters, 2 fun chapters, 2 solid chapters. Is there anything else you want to say about chapter 103 or 104, Megan?
No, I mean, you pretty much summed it up. It was just great. It was fun to read.
Yeah. So that's going to probably do it for this video and our discussion on those 2 chapters 103 and 104. But like I said, please let us know your thoughts. your just your opinions, your feelings on these 2 chapters, even if it's just how you felt when you saw something, or if it's like a more in-depth like theory or reason as to why certain things happened. Like any and all comments and things like that we really appreciate, because it just gets us excited to talk about this series with other people.
And if you're new to the channel, if you just clicked on this without knowing who we are at all, we do chapter reviews on Chainsaw Man, and we're going to be reacting to the Chainsaw Man anime when it comes out in October. So that'll be so fun. If you want to stay tuned for that, definitely stay tuned for that. And if you aren't new to the channel, hi.
Yeah, if you're not
We've missed you. Thank you for watching.
We love you.
We love you. These are usually on our community live, so it is
this
kind
is
of fun and like weird. Not weird, but it's just different to not have you guys talking through our discussion. But yeah, these will be in their own video now. Yeah, in their own separate video now, because some people in the community lives haven't read or caught up, and we were doing multiple chapter reviews, and maybe they read one series, not the other. Yada yada yada. This is easier to keep track of for sure. Yeah. So, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for staying all the way to the very end of this almost 40-minute conversation. Wow. If you did, I mean, that's what's so fun about these videos too. Is that if you want analytical videos and videos where people kind of go back and cite previous chapters and stuff, those videos exist, and those videos are so good, and most of them are so well put together, and people pay so much attention to every single detail, and I love watching those videos myself. And we do pull from our own memories of things that we can recall from part 1 and part 2. But what I love about these videos, recording them at least, is that they're just like a fun conversation that we get to have, and it's just mostly about feeling. We just get to share our excitement with each other and with everybody watching and listening. So again, that's why we're saying, please leave your comments down in the below this video, just letting us know all of your feelings about these 2 chapters. And that's going to do it for this video. And subscribe and all that stuff. Yeah.
And, yada, 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 yada.
You've
it really
heard
helps us out a lot. Even if you hear all the way to the very end, helps us out a lot. But that's going to do it for this video. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes, which for these, I don't know. Chapter reviews, I don't know what our outro is. Give me some cake. Because he ate cake in 103. He ate cake with his hands. We could say something along the lines of like, don't be a loser. Or fuck it, be a loser.
Be a loser.
We could say
Denji loves cake.
We could say sit on me. That's a little aggressive. Sorry about that. That's a little aggressive. We could say chainsaw man.
Human chainsaw man.
Human chainsaw man.
That's good.
But we're just gonna say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, human chainsaw man. It's just like we're gonna just say something. Denji's back.
We've already done that.
I know. Keep your butt off Denji.
But he wouldn't want that.
He wants to make some extra cash.
Sit on Denji.
Okay, yeah. Have a seat on Denji. I guess. Whatever. Not the best outro, But whatever. For the sake of just this going on for way longer than it needs to.
Please sit on Denji.
Next time, please sit
on Denji. He needs it.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Denji. Sit on Denji.
Don't sleep on Denji. Sit on Denji.
What are we thinking? Please sit on Denji.
Please sit on Denji. Chainsaw man.
This is the longest one.
Let's just do it.
All right, but please sit on Denji. It's going to go too long.
Don't sleep on Denji. Sit on Denji.
Don't sleep on Denji. Sit on Denji. Okay. They're not all winners. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, don't sleep on Denji. Sit on Denji.
For a fair price of 100 yen.
Maybe 200 yen.
I think he's charging even less.
He's charging, 20.
20 yen.
I think Yoshi was saying you could charge 100.
I wonder how much makes a day.
Probably 20.